Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Ice Spring. It's an original composition by Ryan Benthal, performed and released on his debut solo album, Sovereign Mind, which is now available at psaudio.com. You can see Ryan performing with local group Canyon Collective very soon. More details coming up later in the podcast. For more information about Ryan Benthal, be sure to head to his website, ryanbenthal.net. Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to part 2 of this very special Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. We're continuing our promotion of an upcoming show from Canyon Collective. But before we get into our interviews, some preliminary announcements. First, I wanted to let you guys know that it's time once again for the annual Mountaineer Poetry Contest. This is a reader-submitted contest with a Reader's Choice poll to vote for your favorite. Poems will be published through April 2025, National Poetry Month. Be sure to head to the mtnear.com/forms/its-your-turn to submit the form at the mtnear.com. Next, we're looking for more DJs to join the Mountaineer Podcast. We're always looking for more peak-to-peak voices to feature on this podcast, so be sure to email me at media@themountaineer.com to let me know if you want to be involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form. Also, email our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hart, at info@themountaineer.com. Next, there's a very special music event happening tomorrow, Sunday, April 20th, 2025. Starting at 2 p.m. and going until 6 p.m., 100 Pound House Cat will be playing at Salto Coffee, now rebranded the Nederland General Store at 112 East 2nd Street in Nederland, hosting an Eldora closing day party. They'll be performing with Riverspell and The Young and the Dead. Head over to the Nederland General Store for this 420 and Easter Sunday celebration. And finally, promotional announcements brought to you by the Mountaineer.
Looking for a unique advertising opportunity? The Mountaineer Podcast may be a perfect fit for you. Our podcast reaches local listeners at least 3 days each week. We can create your podcast commercial for you, or you can submit your own. Contact Amanda McDonald for additional information. Her email is adsales@themountaineer.com, and her cell is 720-960-2900. Have you checked out the Mountaineer YouTube lately? We are very excited to have a videographer intern this spring, as well as Clementine Miller, who's been working hard to record some of our local events and meetings to share with you. Go check it out on the Mountaineer YouTube. Have you seen our 2024 Peak to Peak Visitors Guide? We have just launched our 2025 Media Kit for the next guide. Go to our website and click on Advertise to see the full media kit there. Spring is springing, and we all know that means the flowers will be popping out all over the place, reminding us of beautiful art. That also means it's time to start thinking about the 2025 studio tour. Go to our website and click on special sections to view the 2024 guide and prepare yourself for this year's edition.
If you haven't subscribed to The Mountaineer yet and you're looking for something new to subscribe to, then head to our website at themtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage. From there, you'll get access to our full digital archive and scanned copies of the physical newspaper. And you can choose to send a physical subscription of the newspaper to your mailbox or send it to the mailbox of someone that you love. All right, now let's get into our interviews for this episode. Our first guest, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Gregg Freeman. Play with Canyon Collective. Met Zach a number of years ago, and we just kind of connected musically and got together, jams and different things. He's had, a lot of different little parties and jam things at his house, and I have up here too. And yeah, so that's how I got involved in who I am. I don't know how much background information you want, but I'm happy to share.
And Canyon Collective will be performing very soon at the Gold Hill General Store.
Yeah, it's a small venue, but it's a lot of fun. It's kind of a fun place. I don't know how much you've been there or if you've been there at all, but it gets a little wild there sometimes.
So in the previous episode of the Canyon Collective Music of the Mountain special, I talked to bandleader and drummer Zach Hedstrom and bassist Christopher Klaus. They shared their perspectives on how Canyon Collective came to be. But Gregg, I want to hear from you. From your perspective, how did you join Canyon Collective and how has it developed?
Yeah, so I met Zach a number of years ago up at the Gold Hill store, and he and I don't know how much you know about Zach, but he's a tabla player. He plays classical Indian music and he's really good at it, very talented. And I was studying tabla, and there was a little jam actually at the store up in Gold Hill, and we started talking and we had that connection. So I think he invited me to something at his house. I invited him to some things, and we both played drums and percussion. And so we made that connection, and Zach just started bringing different people together and various versions of Canyon Collective. Well, I think we were called Esoteric Earth at first, and then it evolved into Canyon Collective. I think just the members kind of shifted a little bit, and where we are now.
And from my conversations with Zach and Christopher, it sounds like you guys focus a lot on improvisational music. How have you developed to where you are now?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because I've been around longer than these other guys. I'm the oldest guy, and I've been playing music my whole life. And so I've played in all kinds of versions of jam bands and some good ones and whatever. But what is so special about this group, these guys, when I say these guys, they're incredibly talented musicians. I mean, it's not just technically talented, creatively talented, but there's something about the chemistry of the way these guys, I'm a part of it too, but I mean, I'm playing percussion, so I'm listening to the way these guys are coming up with melodies and transitions on the fly and keeping the groove like danceable and funky and driving, and everyone's laughing and smiling and having a great time. So it wasn't that way at the very beginning, but with bringing different people into this situation, the chemistry just evolved into what it is right now, and it's only been a couple of years, less than 2 years. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to have something that you would call improvisational that really doesn't sound improvisational a lot of the time. It's pretty different in that way.
And what about you, Gregg? How did you get started in music in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot older. I've been playing most of my life in high school. I started, it's like 13, I started playing drums and then percussion and in bands when I was in high school. And then throughout all of my 20s, I traveled around the country in kind of a rock reggae band, which was called Little Women. We traveled all around the country. This guy, Jerry Joseph, I think some people might know who he is because he's still touring around the world. He's got a little cult following and he hasn't stopped. But, and then becoming a dad and all that stuff, I wasn't able to be out as much playing, but I've kept playing and mostly playing drum kit more than percussion. But this is Zach's band and he's doing a great job putting it together, and I just love sitting back and playing percussion and sometimes just listening to what's happening. But yeah, I've been doing that my whole life.
And has there been a shift for you in joining Canyon Collective? What stood out for you about joining the group?
Yeah, I would say as a drummer and percussion player, I feel like I'm more of a part of something rather than being a writer or writing lyrics or anything like that. 2 summers ago, we started a band up here called Misty Vale. We were playing out a little bit, and that was kind of like taking some African folk music and trying to make it into a danceable thing. And I think maybe that was more an integral process as far as me being a drummer, because we kind of created more of a dance thing out of a more folk thing. And that seemed to be more of, I was part of that, I would say, more than ever. But for me, it's mostly just, especially with this group, I'm I'm just adding some color and flavor, and I just look back and everybody's smiling and having so much fun, and it's just that, just being part of that for me right now.
And so it sounds like you've personally loved collaborating with other people. What's been your favorite part about collaborating with others musically?
Sure. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think I've kind of gone more towards wanting to play the drum kit and holding that backbeat down. But Zach is doing that with his band, and he's doing a great job, and he's got a lot of energy, and asked me to play percussion in this. And that's a whole different thing too, because I can sit back and I can add a little color and a little flavor here. And so now with these guys are just so creative, just learning from being in their process and being part of that, and just sitting back and try to add a little color and flavor to what's going on there. And that's a lot of fun too.
And how do you feel you've been able to develop as a musician through Canyon Collective?
I would say this is pretty unique in the way that you can have a situation that's improvisational, but someone like Ryan will come up, he'll look around at everybody, get everyone's attention in kind of this almost like telepathic way, and everyone looks and he'll bring a melody line in. And so then everybody naturally is able to transition into this different melody line and still keep the music pumping and flowing in a danceable way. And the way that the torch is, so to speak, passed between the guys that are playing solos, trumpet solo, guitar solo, and whatever, percussion stuff, it's just really pretty special. It's organic for sure, but it's got a little bit of magic there. And so that's something that I haven't experienced it on that level before, the way it seems magical. It's just pretty beautiful. I really enjoy it from that perspective for sure.
And what in general do you love about performing live, particularly with Canyon Collective?
I've done it in different, like I said, throughout most of my 20s. I traveled around the country, and so I was fortunate enough to play in front of all kinds of situations. I think we played at the very first Reggae on the Rocks at Red Rocks, and that was just amazing. It was so different. And now what we're doing is grassroots, and it's like we're having so much fun. As long as people are having a good time, it doesn't matter if it's a big audience or small. We're just having a good time, and I don't think anyone is ready. Like, we're not working every day trying to figure out how we can get in front of bigger audiences and record records. I mean, I think maybe down the road that might come because it's got this organic juice or whatever that's pretty potent. But, it's just about being around people that are having so much fun, and I think everyone feels something similar to that in this situation for sure.
And what do you hope people will take away from Canyon Collective shows when they come to see the group?
I think they'll just have a good time because, the people that are playing the music are having so much fun, and it's just an energy exchange. When people are dancing and everyone's just having fun, it's just a lot of energy. And that's what people take away. It's like, wow. It's like, well, these guys really don't have songs. I mean, of course, we're starting to have some songs, but it's not like we get together for hours every week and work out songs. That's not happening at all. So I think it's more about that. It's like, wow, this is really a lot of fun. There's some kind of unique energy happening here. We want to go check that out again or tell our friends or whatever.
So from what I've heard about the show, it sounds like you guys are gearing up to release your debut album.
Well, we don't have a debut album. Ryan has a debut album, and he's playing tomorrow night in Denver at Dazzle at the Performing Arts Center. So Ryan is releasing his album. We have not gotten into the studio yet. That's down the road. And also, I think you'll talk to Chris. He's with Phoebe Nicks, and I think they're just getting in the studio too. And he fronts that band, and that's a great fun band too as well. So yeah, some of the guys are doing that. And like I said, Ryan's record release party is tomorrow night, and I'm going to that. That's going to be really fun.
We'll be talking more about Ryan's solo album in just a little bit here. But in my conversations with Zach and Christopher, I talked to them about their release of a live album that they recorded in a mineshaft. I mentioned to Gregg that Zach and Christopher told me they were going to be celebrating the release of this live album at the Gold Hill General Store show.
Oh, are they? Okay. Yeah, I was not, I didn't know they were going to make a recording of that. I was not there that day because I was traveling. But yeah, there was a big party in a mineshaft, and I know they did some recording in there. I heard it was pretty fun. And if that's going to come out, wow, you know more than I do. That's great.
I think it's amazing I was able to break that story. But in general for you, Gregg, what's been the most fun about collaborating with everybody in Canyon Collective?
I think it's, that word synergy is way overused for sure, but there's something maybe I call it magical about what comes out of it together collectively. It's a collective, and it's definitely unique. I think if people come out, they're going to say, I haven't heard anything like this. The sounds aren't that new and fresh, but the way that they come to be, the way that it transitions from this to that and whatever, and people are still dancing, and that is what's unique. The energy and the way that people create the music together together is what's special and different, I think.
And yeah, is there anything else in general about Canyon Collective? Any performances they have coming up or anything else we didn't talk about that you want to add?
No, I think what's happening is that we didn't realize that this was really going to be a thing until it became a thing. And now we're like, well, now it's a thing. So what do we want to do with it? Let's get more organized. Let's write some songs. Let's move this thing forward. It's got a lot of energy. And I think everyone's pretty excited just about that. Let's see what happens next. And let's just make this more of a thing instead of just like getting together on a regular basis and doing a little gig here and there. Let's keep it going.
In that case, I think those are all the big questions I have on my end. Thank you so much for joining us for the podcast, Gregg.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of time here. I think it is a fresh thing, and I think there's some excitement around it, and hopefully we'll see some folks from Ned come on down next around the 26th, I guess, right? But yeah, we'll be out and about for sure this summer.
It was really great talking to you, Gregg. And now, our next guest. Do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Hey, yeah, I'm Ryan Benthal, and I'm a pianist, keyboardist, composer, and performer, writer. I currently live in Boulder, Colorado, but I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
And of course, we just talked to Gregg about Canyon Collective's upcoming show at the Gold Hill General Store.
Oh, yeah, looking forward to it.
So what's your perspective about how Canyon Collective got started and how you joined the group?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to remember how it started. I think they were doing some shows at the Gold Hill store and asked me to come in and just support the shows, to play, I play organ and piano, and that's what I do in the group. And yeah, it's all friends. Me and the bass player, Christopher, which we actually switch, and sometimes I'll play bass and we can switch instruments. But we have another band called Phoebe Nix. So I was already in a band with Christopher Klaus, who's the bassist in Canyon Collective. So we have this other band. And then Zach Hedstrom had this idea for some shows and then naming it Canyon Collective, just as kind of like these party shows and local community. And he's also looking at throwing parties at his house and stuff, and we've done that and starting to feature other musicians in the area. So that's what's going on currently with the band. They just asked me to join, and really we were already hanging out and stuff, so it kind of just happened. Maybe they planned it more than me, but it's just all of a sudden a thing, for me. Because I have a lot of other things going on, too. I have my own band. I just released a new album that came out on Octave Records and PS Audio. I'm actually playing at Dazzle in Denver tomorrow night with my own group. Dave Watts playing drums and Todd Smalley playing bass. And also big horn section of all the music that I write. It's under my name, my new album. That's what I was doing at Kubo Jazz just now, 89.3. I just got interviewed by them and promoting the show tomorrow. We gave away some tickets. I also play in some touring bands. I play in a lot of different groups. But Canyon Collective is this local friends that are in that Boulder area, the surrounding mountain community, just coming together and just happened. They just asked me to come in and I just started playing. It's very laid back.
And what about you, Ryan? Can you talk about how you got started in music?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been playing music since I was a kid, but then I ended up majoring in music for my undergrad. I got a BA in music composition with a minor in jazz performance. And I also did like classical piano there and also did chamber choir and concert choir and was involved in a lot of different things. I've been in choir for years too. I'm also a singer. I also sing in my own band. And one of my main things is coming out with these piano albums this year on Octave Records, as I was mentioning earlier. That's showcasing a bunch of my kind of more jazz-oriented compositions for piano. It's all recorded on the Steinway grand piano there. So that's all my music. I'm a composer. I write a lot of music. And in Canyon Collective, I'll sing as well. And I've been kind of leading a lot of it in terms of the lead vocals and playing all the chordal stuff on piano and organ. So my background, though, is, I went to school for music. I've also played in tons of rock bands. I've played in a lot of touring bands. I still play from time to time in this band called the Jackson Stokes Band as well, which we toured for a couple of years with the Allman Betts Band. And I was doing that when I lived in St. Louis. and I toured around the country with them. I also tour sometimes, and I've been working a lot with Charlie, the grandson of Chuck Berry from St. Louis, and I've played with the Berry family for many years, also with Chuck's other grandson, Shahi Eskridge. So I also have a project with him. We just played in Nashville a couple months ago at the Gibson Garage, doing a bunch of Charlie Berry music as well as Chuck Berry music, his grandpa, and he's from St. Louis. So, but I moved to Colorado, and I've gotten super connected with everyone here. I've been connected with Colorado for years, but then moved here in 2020 and gotten pretty entrenched in the scene from there just naturally. It's a very supportive scene. And so I do regional stuff and travel, and it's a great spot to be based out of, though, is Boulder. That's a phenomenal community, and I felt very accepted. But yeah, Stevie Nicks is also another big band. We've been playing a bunch at the Fox Theater. We just played with Frank Moody there last month, which was a really big show. It was a sold-out show at the Fox. We played at the Boulder Theater a few months ago with Thunder Boogie, and that was a great show. We've headlined the Fox a bunch, and so that's what Stevie Nicks is doing. There's a lot going on.
What's it been like for you being able to jump into a group like Canyon Collective and improvise an entire piece live on stage with a group? Is it anything like you've performed before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like that's the basis of it, is the instinctual side, and playing like jazz and Latin music, and cumbia and blues, and yeah, it's all very instinctual. So I definitely thrive in an improvisational department. So I've definitely done music like this my whole life. So it's nothing necessarily new. If anything, I'm trying to help them out. From my perspective, I'm just there giving a lot of support, and I feel like I'm kind of teaching them. Honestly, I feel like I'm the teacher in the band. But yeah, get up and jam. Yeah. And then also listening and being a major listener, and because that'll tell you what to happen. And then I'll make up lyrics. I've rapped on stage before. I'll sing tunes from a pop tune or from a Jimi Hendrix song or something. I'll put it into what we're doing. We'll make up lyrics. It's really just the way the band was made is facilitate a really good time, sort of party vibe.
In that case, is there anything about improvising with this particular group that has stuck out to you?
Yeah, every opportunity to play is opportunity to grow, hopefully. But yeah, in this band, I guess they're going for more Latin sound, like Latin funk, kind of throwback, kind of retro funk with cumbia, salsa inspired flavor in it. So it's really fun to jump in and do Latin stuff because not every band is going for that sound that I'm playing in currently. So that's the area that I enjoy, is that we're able to do Latin flavored music like cumbia, salsa, and so that, and whatever that is, a bunch of white dudes playing salsa. You can only go so far, but we're just having fun with it.
And I must say, I misunderstood Zach, Chris, and Gregg slightly when I talked to them about improvising these pieces on stage. For whatever reason, it sounded like there were basic structures that the band composed before they went on stage, and then they riffed from those basic structures.
Oh, the band's so fresh that we've never practiced, never anything. Or at least I think they've practiced. I haven't been able to make one, at least, if they have. There's no songs. It's total improvisation, at least up to this point. I think they're wanting to start structuring it more, but up till now, there's been no plan, even before we get on stage. I have no idea what we're going to play until the moment we start playing it.
What's it like for you just going on stage with none of you knowing what you're about to perform?
It's pretty fun, yeah, it's kind of thrilling that way, knowing that anything could happen. It's also, you are taking a risk because you're relying that everyone's going to be a good listener. If everyone's a good listener, then it should go off without a hitch. But if people kind of are just zoned out, they're not really listening to what's going on. But everyone's been able to be pretty good with listening so far, because when you have horns and all that, it's easy to get really loud. All of a sudden, it's just this loud droning thing. So you got to listen and be reactive. But the questions, what is it like? I've had a great time. I've been playing jazz my whole life, and I actually host the Sunday Jazz at Knotted Root Brewery up in Netherlands every Sunday from 5 to 7. So I've been hosting that for 3 years now. It's me and Black Dog, and we never know what we're going to play until we start playing. So I've been doing music like this my whole life. That's the jazz in me, is you can adapt to any situation musically. All you got to do is listen.
And what do you love most about performing live in general, and particularly with this group?
Oh, man, yeah, it's the best ever. I get adrenaline, and I literally get high when I play. It's the best feeling. No drug could compare to it. That's why I've dedicated my life to it. But I'm also a writer and a composer and a recording artist. I'm also a session artist. I do studio work. I'm also a teacher. I teach online. I teach piano, voice, and composition classes, both online, and I have a studio in Boulder as well. So I'm a private business owner. in that regard. Just who you are. It's just what you do. Just like anybody who's called to be a writer or a painter or an accountant. Maybe not an accountant. I'm just kidding. It takes all kinds, you know, so it feels good to be in your purpose. And yeah, I'm very grateful. I feel very grateful every night I get to do this too. You know, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Is there anything that you hope people will take away from the Canyon Collective shows when they come to see them?
Oh, just a good time. You know, a good time, new friendships, new connections. Hopefully they take away the feeling that they get to let loose and dance and hopefully feel satisfied, you know, in a spiritual and also physical state. Not that we're necessarily doing spiritual music, but it's like music makes you feel good. People feel good after they spend a night dancing. So it's like, job well done. Yeah, I want people to feel good at every show.
And is there anything else in general about Canyon Collective or any other musical efforts on your end or anything coming up in the Peak to Peak area? I don't know. Anything else you want to add?
Well, if you want to run too, that I host the Sunday Jazz at Knotted Root in Netherlands every Sunday, 5 to 7. It features a lot of really good musicians, and we've brought up some really good musicians. We've had like Jeffrey Franca from Thievery Corporation come play. We've had Eli from Dopapod has come and played, and we've had tons of people. We've had Dave Watts, who's playing on my Dazzle show tomorrow from the Motet. He's come and played quite a few times. Todd Smalley from the Derek Trucks Band. I work with a lot of people, man. It's like, you know, Canyon Collective is like, they asked me to come in and help them. And I feel like, as I said before, I'm like the teacher. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I'm giving them some direction because I have so much going on, and I've worked with regional and national touring bands and stuff. So this is more like the, hey, we're jamming with some friends at home, and if you guys want to do something, let me help you. Let's rock. You know, all I can do is offer my expertise. But yeah, I have my whole own group. It's easy to find me. You Google my name, my albums will come out. My newest one on Octave Records is on the record label website. It's an exclusive release. So we're doing the Dazzle show tomorrow. It's one of the only places you can get it until it's out on streaming platforms. But it won't be out on Apple Music for another 6 months. So if you want to get the album, it's the only way to get it. But I have a lot of Charlie Berry shows that coming up in St. Louis and Austin and Nashville. Trying to think of, and then Phoebe Nicks has got a residency at License Number 1 every third Friday of the month. So we'd love any kind of support and promotion on that. They've been a great time. Like every show has been a party. So yeah, but Canyon Collective's got the Gold Hill show coming up, and that'll be great. I love Gold Hill, and I think Zach's going to start doing these Canyon Collective Presents shows, which are like these DIY festival style parties up 4 Mile Canyon on his property. So we're going to start getting those going, and would love to keep promoting those going into the summer, and we're featuring bands around the region. We're coming in, so it'll be like multiple bands, live music party, and so that'll be coming up. So that's the main stuff in this area that's going on. That's just off the top of my head.
Now, because Gregg didn't know until I asked him that the band was going to be releasing their live recording from a mineshaft, I decided to see what Ryan knew about it. So I asked if there was anything in particular the group would be celebrating at the Gold Hill General Store show.
Well, yeah, we're definitely celebrating the release of my album, and so I'll be bringing copies of that, and we might even do like a version of one of the songs live with this band, and then kind of the kickoff of spring, too. New music and spring vibes. We need to kick it off, and so this is kind of the start of spring and summer kickoff show, aka new music release party.
Well, Ryan, were you involved in that mineshaft recording?
Oh, yeah, I played on that whole thing. That's me playing keys on all that stuff.
It was at this point that I said Zach and Chris had told me that they were going to celebrate the release of that live recording at that show.
Oh, well, that's the first I heard of that. So sweet. I'm glad they're finishing it. I haven't even heard it yet. I knew that we were going to be putting it out. So we have a lot of music coming out.
I don't know why. I just find it really funny that I got to be the scoop for 2 members of the band itself. But anyway, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you about, and that's with your involvement in Phoebe Nicks. I talked with Zach and Christopher in the previous episode and heard that Phoebe Nicks will be opening for a group at the Caribou Room very soon.
Yes, we have a Caribou Room show coming up. It'll be great to promote that. May 10th, Caribou Room, we are opening for the Other Brothers, an All-Star Allman Brothers tribute. And so we are playing an opening set, probably it'll start around 7 or 8 p.m., I think, and we're playing for about 75 minutes before the Other Brothers at Caribou Room.
You can head to thecaribouroom.com to get your tickets now. We'll be coming back to promote that show in the near future. But for now, I think those are all the big questions I have on my end.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and it's really fun to share it and to get some publicity in the community on it.
Thank you so much, Ryan, for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. And thank you as well to Zach, Chris, and Gregg for jumping on and talking about Canyon Collective and being able to make this a 2-part episode of Music of the Mountains. If you want to see Canyon Collective performing live, then be sure to head over to the Gold Hill General Store located at 531 Main Street in Gold Hill on Saturday, April 26th, 2025, starting at 7 p.m. As Ryan mentioned, he'll be releasing his solo effort, Sovereign Mind, very soon. You can find that release at psaudio.com, and you can learn more about Ryan's other musical efforts by going to his website, ryanbenthal.net. And finally, if you want to keep up with Canyon Collective as a group, be sure to head to their Instagram page at CanyonCollective_. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to the second part of last week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back very soon with this week's segment of Music of the Mountains, and then I'll finally be caught up on our podcast schedule. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com to see a full archive of all of our episodes on our podcast's main hub. You can also find our podcast by scrolling near to the bottom of our homepage at the mtnear.com, and podcast episodes are now available on our YouTube channel. You can keep up with the podcast and more video content from the Mountaineer by heading to our YouTube channel at the MTNEAR. If you're interested in being involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form, then be sure to reach out to Barbara Hart at info@themountaineer.com and or myself at media@themountaineer.com, and we'll get something sorted for you. And if you want to give feedback on a specific episode of the podcast or about the podcast generally, then head to an individual podcast episode description and send us a text. We'd love to hear from you. I'll see you guys very soon with this week's segment of Music of the Mountains. Have a great rest of your day. The song that you are currently listening to is called Sovereign Mind. This is a composition written and performed by Ryan Benthal for his debut solo album, which you can find at psaudio.com. For more information about Ryan Benthal as a musician, head to his website at ryanbenthal.net. And to see him perform in a local group, you can see Canyon Collective performing at the Gold Hill General Store on Saturday, April 26th, starting at 7 p.m. Head over to 531 Main Street in Gold Hill to see their improvisation in action.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.